Anonymous.
With a Mirabal.
And Carolyn Rosa Pops. Ding, 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 ding.
Yes. This is our season finale. So it is our grand episode. We're titling it Tipsy Talk. I have my wine, just a little bit, like I said, just tipsy. And it's just going to be a fun one. AR and I are going off of this on the whim. Usually we'll prep some conversations. If you listen to our other episodes, you'll hear us say, oh, we were talking before we started recording. No, none of that tonight. AR and I are going in this fresh. So bear with us because we have some fun things ahead. And I'm really excited.
Definitely. This has been, this is like basically Infinity War. We've dropped like 9 Marvel movies in order to get to this point. We are here. We are ready. Yes. Where the fuck is Thanos? Know what I'm saying? Where's the guy that looks like a ball sack, but he's colored purple for whatever God knows reason? He looks like that guy Hamburglar from McDonald's. Remember him? You see, we can build a whole plot. Right. We can build a whole plot around that, but we won't. We're not gonna. We're gonna give you some fresh. We're gonna give you that Subway refresh. Except we're not gonna have like 90 celebrities for out of nowhere talking about it. We don't have any celebrities. You got me though.
It's better. It's real. And it's live.
For the people not listening, the people only listening and not watching me, I just struck like 5 poses that literally were so good that Zookeeper or Zoolander, whatever the fuck Ben Stiller played in that movie that he played a model. Yeah, he would be jealous right now.
So right now, look at our YouTube and you can see ours modeling poses. Ooh,
Now the camera doesn't cut off, so but I just rub my nipples very seductively.
You can turn off the YouTube at this point.
I wouldn't recommend it though. You know what I mean?
Are bringing you a live skit. AR and I are bringing our sock puppets back. They were in training for this very moment, so we're going to bring them back. And we're going to put their skills. Exactly. We're going to put the skill to the test and basically take every episode that we've done and try to incorporate it while we do this scene.
Yeah.
So we're taking our oath of advice.
Yeah, which I think is kind of like a great way to end the season, because last episode was us, really diving into somebody else's work. So I always thought that like the best way to end the season was to basically eat our own balls, right? Because the whole point of this, the reason why it's fun, is to give the impression that anything that you do just like off the cuff without really putting editing towards it is still always going to have a little something, which is what brings everything together. Right. So we have plot point from plot point, episode per episode. We're going to break everything down. So it's going right into it. Our very first episode was talking about what? Internal and external inspirations. So internal is anything happening to you. External is happening anything in the world. So going off of that, one of the main things that's been happening lately just around us is, one, I mean, there's obviously the COVID thing, but if you ask me, the COVID thing is like low-hanging fruit at this point. It's too obvious. Like everyone is doing some type of pandemic. Oh, we're all alone. How are we going to deal with this type of thing? Like it seems like too obvious to me. So just the type of weirdo rebel artist that I am, I don't even know what you want to classify it as, that I want to just swing somewhere else. So my idea, well, I guess where I'm kind of leaning towards, and we'll batter out right now, but I'm thinking about the OnlyFans thing. What do you think about that, Care?
So that is interesting, and that definitely takes from our external inspiration. Again, if you check out our last video, we talk about internal versus external. Just a quick recap. Internal is anything that you personally have gone through. External is things that are happening to you. So, I mean, neither AR, as far as I know, neither of us have an OnlyFans account.
That's actually a lie. So Carolyn and I both have an OnlyFans account. So Carolyn has an OnlyFans account where she wears a one-piece swimsuit and she dives into chocolate. And I have one where I wear a Speedo.
Okay, I like that.
And I dive into, shut your mouth. I dive into peanut butter. And then we never actually do this in person because, you know, she lives in Philadelphia and I live in Netherlands. So what happens is that we'll do a TikTok and we'll do like that on the screen and we call it Hershey's. Get it? Because like I'm chocolate and she's peanut butter. You see what I'm saying? It's like really highbrow stuff, guys. Real highbrow stuff. But we do have an OnlyFans.
So what I was saying. Okay, so maybe it's an internal inspiration for AR. But looking at external part of it, it's crazy because it's basically taking a form of public expression and then making it illegal. That's an excellent plot. I mean, it goes right into free speech. It can get political if you want it to. It can go into fucking science fiction if you wanted to. It can take all different routes. And that's where that inspiration comes from. The fact that we're passionate about it, boom, that's inspiration right there. So I think the OnlyFans is a good platform to use or to go off of rather, and yeah, see where it takes us. People that don't know, it's basically that OnlyFans is taking off explicit sexual content. So whatever that means to you is whatever it means to you, and that's your inspiration. AR and I are gonna leave it at that and take it and basically work with it. I like the aspect of maybe making it about something else than explicitly sexual. But this is
so yeah. So like going on to point 2, we have world building, right? So taking this inspiration of like, you know, because Carolyn actually brought up a great point, the whole idea of like self-expression and that becoming illegal. That is a fascinating point. What I thought about it originally when I just like proposed the idea was more kind of like, imagine if a platform came up obviously spearheading a certain idea, a certain theme, and then when they got to a level of insane notoriety, I mean, for example, Kleenex, you know, the thing that you wipe your nose with when you like have like the sniffles, that's the company name. Like the regular brand name is just called a tissue. But Kleenex is like synonymous with that. So OnlyFans, the similarity with there is that OnlyFans has become like that. When people talk about, it's like, oh, she has an OnlyFans account, even if it's not OnlyFans, like, you know what the idea is in your head. Like she has an account where she does XYZ and people pay for it. It's like OnlyFans has come to that level of notoriety. And then when they have that level of notoriety, they decide to just flip the screen and go like, oh yeah, we're going to fucking focus on dog pictures and cats doing weird poses when they scratch the post. It's just like, oh, okay, what are you talking about? Like how are you going to flip the script so quickly? So just taking that idea, and I think it's a pretty easy kind of like flip to go, because what OnlyFans boils down to, the whole sexual explicit thing, is basically the oldest profession in the world, prostitution. But what's the second oldest? Assassination. Let's be honest. We've been killing folks since the beginning of time, people. Since the beginning of time, we've been killing people. All right. So imagine if you just pivoted that from
our 10 commandments.
Yeah, literally in the 10 commandments. Like, I actually think it's like, don't covet your wife, and then it's don't kill people. So think about that. It's like God would say, hey, listen, don't fuck with my bitch, but also don't kill me, I guess. Please. So like, like, there's obvious like a huge thing with that. So if you just pivot that, right? Instead of OnlyFans, you call it, well, only kills, only death. Only death. Leave it there. Only death. So in this world, you create an only death account where like you sign up, and as me, as the fan, as the user, I contact Carolyn, who's the assassin, right? And I'm like, hey, listen, my boss is a dick. I'm sick and tired of this shit. Like, you need to off him. And then I do that. And I guess the same way that like prostitution is technically illegal, but OnlyFans kind of like substitutes that, is that the same way that this OnlyFans thing would be kind of like, oh, well, I mean, where's the actual proof?
It's a gray area.
It's a gray area, which is like, I think why the whole OnlyFans thing is interesting to begin with, because it was a great, when I first heard of it, I thought it was outrageous. and the fact that 2 years later we're still dealing with it. All right, so we just had some weird technical issues. I don't know what that was. Might be the internet, might be because I'm in a hurricane right now. I don't know. But going off what we were talking about before.
It's storming right now in Philadelphia.
Yes, and wherever I am at, // / go fuck yourself. You don't need to know. We definitely have a hurricane right now, so it might be a little connection issue. But moving right on that, we have character development. So we were talking about world building, the whole only death idea, the whole all that. So going from there is character development. How do we build that? We have my character and we have Carolyn's character. So just naturally as we're going, I'm gonna lean myself on the more rebel character, right? Because every time you have my idea of what like kind of sci-fi type of thing is, and it does kind of jump to episode 5, which is the whole genres and tropes thing. But when you have an idea of something like this, kind of like an overarching technology, it automatically makes me go to sci-fi. And when you go to sci-fi, you go to dystopian because it's like, you know, overarching power versus like rebel legion, whatever power. So you have two extremes basically.
Okay.
So
go ahead. That makes sense. Like, so if AR is leaning towards the rebel character, if we want to go based off plot as well, you usually have like the two opposing characters where it's like the villain and the hero. I mean, this is how you look at it. But if AR is going to be the rebel, whether he's going to be like the hero rebel or the villain rebel, my character needs to portray the opposite, which in this situation, if we're talking about like the only death account and all that, if he's going to be the rebel, I'm taking that as like he's going to be the one who's all about the only death account and like wants to do it and is using it and is about it. But so the complete opposite end is somebody who is against it. And whether that's like the villain or hero, I don't really know yet. That's something AR and I will play out. But in terms of character or in terms of a story, you have those two opposing factors. You have the villain and then you have hero. So AR, and I'm just going to set this in stone, AR said he was the rebel. So I'm going to be the goody. I'm going to be the person that's like, oh, well, death only account is horrible. Why would you want to murder somebody and go off that? Again, if they're the villain or the hero, I don't know yet. That comes more with character development. That's more of like, well, every villain has a good aspect about them and a bad aspect. Every hero thing. So,
and just go character and even going off that idea,
I will not be.
And just feeding off that, right? Because like everything that Carolyn just said is 100% a valid point of view. But another point of view about it would be, instead of thinking about her as the goody, it'd be like, well, she's the authority type, right? Like she's like the one wearing gray and black and like, you know, muted colors, while like we're over here wearing vibrant colors and like, you know, doing whatever we want. We're like free spirited, and she's like, you know, trying to like suppress our happiness and expression and XYZ. So it's just like everything goes back and forth, because like the people on the gray side, or whatever side you want to call it, whatever, you know, they could even be the vibrant side themselves, but they're going to look at the other side like they're goofy, and the other side is going to look at them like they are. So it's just like the back and forth of like ever. It's just how it always is. If you're on the blue side, you're going to think red is stupid. If you're on the red side, blue is stupid. Even if in reality both characters actually have a lot of similarities, it's just that them being on opposing sides influences their point of view on the world and just like themselves at large, honestly. Because when you really identify with something like that, right, it like boils down to your character all the way down. So character development. So going from there, the episode right after that is plot holes, but we'll leave plot holes for after we actually do the little skit, right? Because the whole thing is that we're going to take all these together.
Yeah, because right now,
yeah, we really can't see a plot hole because we're developing it. It would be impossible.
Or the entire thing is a plot hole because we're developing. But yeah, no, we'll talk about that afterwards, because plot holes right now, that's like a tricky one. That's after you have the plot and you're looking for that cohesiveness. Right now, A&R have what we have. So now it's kind of all a plot hole.
Yes, definitely.
But we're going to try not to make any plot holes. You know how difficult that can be in the midst of it when you're writing or when you're acting or when you're screenwriting, whatever it is, how easily plot holes can sneak up on you. So that'll be a good example of that.
Without a doubt. And I mean, just like if there's so many levels on which that can boil down to when you like actually get down to it. And really, this entire episode is almost an analogy to that. Not everything, for as much as work that you put into it, is going to be like perfect final at that time. I can't tell you the amount of times that I thought a plot was just done fully, and then I got to writing that section of it, and I was like, oh, wait a minute. It might have been really good when I thought about it, but there's just 10% missing. And that happens at any point. That happens to me currently. My book is already out, and I'm already thinking about things that I could have done better. It always happens. It always happens. It's a natural point of plot building, of writing. But again, it's a beautiful thing because if you really are able to dissect the things that kind of create the faults, then you wouldn't be able to do it in the future. Which is a conversation I love having with Carolyn, if I can be honest.
Plot holes is just gonna be interesting to go over. Like, I'm thinking about it now and I'm like, oh my God, like I almost don't want to do it because of the plot holes. And I feel like that deters a lot of writers thinking about, oh, can I do it? Will I do it well? Like,
wow.
These are all the thoughts that people have before they begin anything. So
yeah, that's a meme. That's a meme right there. Yeah. That's a meme right there.
Oh my God.
Honestly.
All right. AR, what else? What plot holes? What was next on our list?
So right after that, it kind of goes right after plot holes, we go into genres and tropes. So we spoke about that a little bit, but
this is fun.
Yeah, it merits a little bit more of a conversation now, though, right? Because like so we developed, at least if it's not going to be overarching sci-fi, it at least have sci-fi elements, right? So then where do we want to go from there? Is it going to be a murder thriller that like somehow the plot develops and starts off? Because remember, the main goal, the main thing, the main tip that we ended the last episode, the nitty-gritty with, was that you always have to start a scene late and leave early. So start where it's like where the plot grabs the reader, and then through dialogue and through prose and through however way you want to prose your art and present it to the reader, they're able to understand and build enough of the information to make them want to know more, but also make them question the things that they're already interpreting. So as you build that scene up, you always want to start late, meaning like, instead of Carolyn's book, honestly, Carolyn has a great example in her book where like one of the main chapters, one of the main introductions of one of the characters is that they just start off in the mud. And it's this whole like allegorical thing where like, them being in the mud is like allegorical to what they're doing and symbolic to how their character is. And that's a beautiful scene because it starts with them in the mud. It doesn't start with them being in their house talking about, oh, I wonder where I can find a mud puddle. Like, can I make my own mud? It doesn't start there. That's boring as shit. It starts them in the mud. It starts where the flame is. That's where you always want to start a scene. So how do we want to start the scene? And that all influences the genres we're going to pick, and genres influences the tropes. So if we're doing a murder mystery, the scene can start off with like, I don't know, maybe the rebel side killed off somebody from the government side, and now we're starting off with that whole theme. If we're doing a comedy thing, it can start off with like a whole bunch of, who knows? It's literally limitless. So going off of that, Carolyn, give me an idea. What are you thinking for this one?
Yeah, well, if your character starts off killing a government official, I'm coming in hot. You just hurt one of my people. So
one of the homies.
Boom, right there. That relates right back to character development. I feel personally obligated to put my 2 cents in when I know somebody just got hurt. I mean, yeah, if we come in hot, say in the middle of a middle of a scene, so not the beginning or the end, but just kind of thick of it. If you just want to kill a government official, or I find you using the only death counts to kill somebody, and my role is that government official person, then I would have to come in and be like, and dissect it from there. Be like, well, wait a minute, what is happening? And when you ask that, you're getting reader information. when another character, when you use your dialogue to ask what's happening, you're actually giving your information through dialogue for your reader to understand what's happening in your world that you're building, in the situation, in the plot that's happening, and then how your character responds. So it's like really important use of dialogue. And since AR and I are going to be, maybe we're going to start in the middle of a scene, that's crucial because we're trying to tell you exactly what's going on and how our characters are going to react to it. So yeah, if you kill a government official and that's like the beginning of our scene or in the middle of it, then my character is going to have to respond. So knowing my character, they're going to be pissed. They're not going to go along with your plan because my character is against all of that from the get-go. So let's bring it, and we're gonna fight it out in our act scene.
Now, I like that a lot because, again, just, personal anecdote. The main thing that I always struggle with, and again, Carolyn really hit it on the head, like meme worthy right there, is that like a lot of what stops not just potential writers, but even writers that already have books out and are thinking about a next one is just the very inception of it. It's like, oh, can I write this? Can I do this effectively? What stops me a lot when I'm in the process of it, when I'm 50% into a book, is like, oh, wait a minute. Are the intentions that I want my characters to go through legitimate? If I want to make a character that seems that they've been beaten down, and then in chapter 7, they're ready to fight, is that emotion, is that flip merited? Has they shown enough of their development in order to merit that type of involvement? In order for them to make that leap from, oh, I'm not gonna do anything, to, oh, I'm ready to do something. So that right there, motivation is a strong, very strong thing into character development. And not only that, but it bleeds into plot and everything else. So with the whole murder mystery thing, right? That gives immediate precedence to the other side. I mean, we don't even have to discuss it as people. Even if I just write a scene, they killed my friend. Next scene after that, you should already know is I'm ready to kill them. Obvious. We don't even have to talk about it. It's a meme. It's obvious, right? So that right there is a great precedence and a great idea to like build off of a plot with.
Yeah, and no, that definitely plays into world building because once your plot is set, meaning if AR goes and plans to kill somebody and then I come in and I'm like, oh, what's happening? Because I know my character and that's how they would react. The world building is into play based on all those other aspects. So the world building is, oh, okay, so right now for murder only or whatever we coined it is an issue in society. Right now, that is a problem. So then the two totally different perspectives play into the societal perspectives. AR is one way in the society where they want to get. I'm in the other part of society where I'm against it. And right there is world building, and it shows you why is even for murders only or death only, why is that even a thing in society? That is all world building because it's related to basically your character's actions. It's related to the plot itself. It all kind of ties everything together, why things are happening and why they are.
Yeah, and like just going off of everything, putting everything together. So we have our character development. We have an idea of where we want to go. We have two extremes. We have the rebel, we have the authority. We have our world, which is like the whole idea of, only death or murder only, however you want to phrase it, right? We have the idea of an institution like that, which has somehow allowed, a profession like assassination or murder to be a little bit more mainstream, and then out of nowhere they flip. So you have the two conflicting versions of like being of one side of being like, well, this was a natural thing of human evolution. I mean, we've always wanted to kill people. Now it's just like a little bit more up in the air instead of being a taboo. And you have the other side of being like, oh, you know what? Well, not everything that's taboo is like bad. Honestly, there's certain things we just shouldn't do as people. Like, what are you talking about? There are certain things that are just sacred, right? So you take those conflicting ideas, and then that in itself, again, without even having to really inject too much into the personal development of each character, but just those two conflicting ideas is enough at least to get the ball rolling. So then moving on to genres and tropes, now we know, okay, wait a minute. We want to do a murder mystery tied with sci-fi elements, right? So you have the idea of like, all right, well, now we want to start off with that crux of like, all right, there's one side plotting the murder of another, and that's what gives precedence to the other side in order to act, instead of this whole thing that we have to build up motivation from each side. Now motivation is already brought to, because obviously if one side wants to kill the other side, you can assume the emotions behind it. No one wants to kill another person because they're wearing blue shoes when they're supposed to be wearing purple. I can't say nobody. Let me not go crazy. But like for the most part, people only want to kill each other for reason. So just me proposing the idea of me wanting to kill another person is enough for you to think, oh, well, oh shit, what is the other side doing?
Right.
And the other side, without even you having to explain, just the fact that you want to kill somebody from my side is enough for me to act. So just both right there, even within the first paragraph of speaking, we're already at that point of conflict resolution, motivation, gripping the audience. All those ideas are right there. That is the crux. Those are already set. So moving towards and moving to the next point is actually building that into a plot. How do we get these ladders? Right? Like we have the idea. We know where the ladder leads and we know where the ladder starts, but how do we get to those steps? Are we taking double steps? Are we making the reader like do those like double jumps, like, you know, like it's like yoga? You know, are they taking one step at a time? Is it going slow? Like, what is the pacing you're trying to create here? So going off that idea, Carolyn, how are you thinking? What do you think?
Oh God. All right. I feel like yes, it's a backbone to lean on. But no, when you're writing, there's a lot more planning and detail that comes into it, and not to mention the whole editing stage. Like, this is basically AR and I making an outline and then kind of playing out that outline. But I feel good about it. I feel like if it's a murder mystery, I know the genre. If I know that your character is the quote unquote rebel, mine is the government official, we have our characters. If I know it's going to start in the thick of a murder like scene type of thing, I kind of understand the drama behind it that relates to the world building and why it's a big deal. Like, there's enough to go on and then try to present it, which like we're gonna try to do as I'm saying this.
Yes, Carolyn is acting as our narrator for this episode. So going with the whole idea of building plots of like how we're going to move on to the next point is, so we have the idea, right? And just to like get like an idea, let's get like some names going, right? So I'm the rebel. So I mean, why even play around? Let's say that the first name is Reb and the last name is L, spelled ELLE, like it's like the Ellen show but without an L, without an N at the end. So Reb L, boom.
I like it.
Bow, what's up? What else do you want? You know exactly what I'm doing. And again, if you're to take it a little more seriously, right? If you were writing a character that is like going through some like real tribulations and like, you know, some shit, whatever, in his like own life, XYZ, maybe you can name the character Dante, referencing the whole like Dante's Inferno and how you have to go through the 7 layers of hell in order to get to the bottom. All those things are allegorical, but in this sense, we're just hitting you, boom, tongue in cheek, right in your face, Reb L. Now, Carolyn's thing is more authoritative. So, like, what are you thinking for your name?
That's a good question. Yeah, I like too, for character development, it can get very deep, but we're keeping it surface level. So with AR's name, Reb L, aka Rebel, you know right off the bat what kind of character he is. So names are huge when it comes to writing. They tell you the personality of your character and more or less like their stance on the situation. AR is Rebel, my character name, and he's a government official. I'm gonna go with an official. I'm thinking, okay, like if it has to do with rules or laws, I want to take that same name and play on with it. So like government official Rulio. That's it. Government official Rulio.
Boom.
So you know that he's upholding the law, rules.
Yep.
Yeah, that totally tells the difference in our characters.
Yep. So I'm Rebel,
It's good.
and she is Rulio Law. Boom.
Rulio Law. Yes, God, what
Rulio
a name.
Law. Boom. What's up? From a very prestigious line of laws, by the way. And mine is actually a pretty prestigious name too. So I'm Rebel, but my father's name is Infid. So Infid.
Oh my God, I love how you know your character's background.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's because I'm deep in this shit.
He knows.
I'm deep in this shit, all right?
Oh my God. No, that's what we're saying.
You're in the sandbox. I already got the castle
AR
ready.
Knows this. Yeah, like AR knows. That's the point. You got to know your characters like this, though. That is character development. What is their background? We're not going to talk about AR's family into this episode, but that should play in to your character's personality. Like, that is how deep character development is. You don't got to tell every little detail, but it totally explains why they are the way they are. No offense, AR.
No, that's fine. I'm not crying, you're crying. Know what I'm saying? I have onions around here, that's why I'm, But as far as building plots go, so we already talked about the whole thing that you start off the scene, boom, you start off hot. I don't know why, but I like the way that Carolyn phrased it. Like, you start off hot, boom. You start off with something significant. And again, that's only one way of going about it. That's not the way that you start every prose. I don't know why we're like lamenting that, but just for the people that like really are for the first time writing, this is what's the thing? This is a guideline. These aren't rules. You don't have to listen to this shit. These are just things to like think about as you're building a plot. You can start it off however the fuck you want. But how we're going to start it off is like the whole idea of murder mystery. So I have Rebel. So we're just going to go off of it now. This is full off the script now. So we have Rebel, and let's say that Rulio has a person. Yeah, Rulio Law, Mr. Law or Mrs. Law. Oh shit, I'm sorry. Please don't me too me. You already know I'm not gonna respond anyway. Go fuck yourself. But let's say that Mr. Mrs. Vay Law has a friend that is gonna propose some crazy new bill that is actually gonna be the death of only murders, only death thing. And me as Rebel, as the leader, as a person that is with that side, I obviously don't want it to happen. So I set up a deal to get that person whacked. Know what I'm saying? A hitman team.
AR is making this. He's making this too easy for me. He just gave me my character and then thought. He's telling me a law that I'm going to propose to him so that he doesn't fulfill his murder wishes.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, I got this.
Narrator. So
It'll
she says.
Fun. So no, that's true. In practice, it's so much harder. Your ideas in your head always sound so much better than they do in practice.
God, preach.
But that's why you got to get them out on paper first.
Yeah, my favorite is when you have like an idea that in your head you're like, oh my god, watch out, Stephen King, and then you tell it to a friend, and as you're telling it to him, then you're like, you know what? Never mind. Actually, no, it was like a good idea when I thought about it, but as I'm saying it out loud, actually, never mind.
All right. Well, with that, are we ready to do our skit and tell these lovely people how well we are at doing it?
I think we're ready to go. Because really everything after at this point is just going to be like us improving, right? We have the entire skeleton ready to go. Yeah. So if you want to think about it as like translating to writing, what we just did is that we just did an outline. We know where we want to end it. We know the motivations for the characters. We know the characters. We know the world building, at least to the point that when we get to some type of conclusion, some type of problem within the world that we have to solve, then we solve it at the moment of writing. Which is, again, there's always this conversation, especially on social media, of like what pantsers versus plotters. I don't even know why they call it pantsers. Such a weird name to me, but whatever. We're gonna leave it there. So it's basically the idea of like people that plot things out all the way through versus people that just write through. I think really good writing is somewhere in the middle, where you have to plot it out a little bit, but it's literally impossible to plot everything out, because I mean, if you even done this a little bit, even no matter how much you plot it out, you're gonna get to chapter 7 and be like, oh shit, I didn't think about that point. And you're gonna have to do some type of work, some type of sewing together, some type of symmetry in order to get it to work. And that's not anything bad on your end. Nothing bad. You haven't done anything bad. I don't know why, but humans have this thing that every time something bad happens to them, we feel that like it only happens to you. It's not just you. I promise. It happens to me. It happens to the fucko next to me. It happens to literally everyone you can imagine. Like, it is the most natural of things to happen in writing. So embrace that, and not only that, but just have fun with it, which is what we're about to do right now. This is the official beginning, official end of like this whole thing, but we're just like in life, it's the end of one thing and the beginning of the next, right? Oh shit. So we just hit the beginning, and end of season 1 and 2. What we're about to do, we're about to record, what the next little iteration is that we're actually going to go ahead and do a little skit of everything we talked about. We're going to bring this story to life. We're going to show that all the little representations that we just created, we're going to build a scene around it. And the most fun part about it, yes. And then just for the people that are new to the podcast, are just joining us, this little scene is actually going to be posted just about everywhere you can find us. I'm going to post it on Twitter. It's going to be on my Instagram stories, because it's just going to be a little skit to influence what our writing properties are. We're not going to narrate it in the sense that, like, we're going to be spoon feeding you the ideas we're talking about. We're just going to go along through it and play it through. Best leading is just following.
First person.
Well, no, opposite thing. Best leading is just doing. And then, like, you understand the premise from there. It's not just saying everything, right?
Right.
So,
oh boy.
this is the end.
All right, I'm ready.
We are ready.
Let's go.
Check with us literally right in a couple minutes. We will be back. End of episode 10, Authors Anonymous season finale. What is up? Carolyn Rose Pops.
Woo, an AR Mirabal.
Check with us next Tuesday. You already know the deal. Authors Anonymous. Peace.